Very excited to talk to you both today. I very much enjoyed this film. I didn't know what to expect, and it went in so many ways. I mean, the pluralism of who he is and who he wanted to be, and how he kind of coped with things was very, very interesting. So first, if I can ask, how did this story come about?
A friend of mine gave me the book about, oh my gosh, 10 years ago. I grew up near where it took place, and he said, man, I can't answer anything with that helmet on. That's all I'm looking at.
Really, 'cause I'm certainly not distracted by the 903 butterflies that are streaming around Derek's face.
Oh, now he's punishing us. He took him away. A friend of mine gave me the book about 10 years ago and basically said, you will love it. It takes place where you grew up and it's impossible to make into a movie. And I read it and I agreed, but I talked to Bob, the author, and he's just a great guy. As soon as you talk to him, you fall in love with him. And the book really kind of spoke to me about a lot of things that I grew up with that I miss now. I grew up outside of Portland. I live in LA, and my son is 12 and his favorite activities are hiking and fishing and camping. So this was a way for me to, I think, kind of rediscover that and explore, the importance of it, not just in my life, but probably in all our lives.
And David, I have to ask, would you consider yourself an outdoorsman? I mean, are you one with nature and the things therein? I know your character had some issues, but are you someone who doesn't brave it, but necessarily maybe jumps into it?
I would say I'm three with nature, sometimes four, and I enjoy the outdoors. Well, look at me.
All there right. He is, enjoying the outdoors.
I enjoy the outdoors, but not to the extent that Tom or Robert do. I'm not an overnight camper, week in the woods type of person. And I'm not necessarily like a city guy. I just, I grew up in rural suburban Georgia. So, I enjoy nature as long as it's not the desert. I like all the other parts of nature, but I'm not one of those a week in the woods guys. Certainly not to that extent.
And Tom, did you put the appropriate weight within this pack to make sure he could get into the moment of all the things he needed to carry on constantly?
Come on, David's a pro. He could, before each take, we'd basically talk about how heavy's a pack, and I'd say 20 pounds. He'd kind of do his thing, and sometimes I'd be like, seems a little light, maybe like go to like 22 and a half, and then it would work. So I was like, he makes it easy.
It was part of our process. There were, a lot of the shoot, we didn't have phone access or internet or cell phone signals, but we had a whole thing where when I would call up Tom or text him or whatever, just be at his window tapping on it in the middle of the night, and we would talk for. Sometimes it was a quick conversation, 5 minutes. Sometimes it was probably an hour and a half of what the weight in the pack should be. How do we achieve that? Is there a way to cheat it as long as nobody is ever going to know? Do we want to do that? Should I go over the weight and then act as if it's 5 pounds less? So that was a big part of our process, back and forth.
I hope that comes across. One of the other things David did that sort of surprised me on set was, so much of the movie he's alone, right? There's 35 minutes of the film where there's no dialogue. So in the morning before we'd start shooting, he would come over and talk to me, and we would talk about like where he was going to go during that day and what his character was going to do. And then we had a deal where I would not say anything to him for the rest of the day. If you look at the film, a lot of the scenes are shot on long lenses. David would sort of signal us when he was ready to go, and we would just roll the camera and, typically did one take. He did what he was going to do. We were kind of okay with the distance too, because to get in character, he I don't think you washed any of the clothes, right? Unless you got wet, they sort of inadvertently got washed. So there was kind of a smell there that the crew was not too happy about.
Yeah, the only thing that I washed, and I made the kind of my crotch area extra dirty, and I put some ham in there that we eventually used. Gave to craft services when I was done with it to distribute.
But I thought you kept kosher.
Yeah, it was turkey ham, turkey bacon stuff.
Oh, like tofurkey kind of a thing?
No, not tofu. It was meat. It was turkey bacon.
I've never had that.
I've had it. It's not something you choose first.
Is that like steakum?
It's not the same thing, but I mean, it's for look, our intents and purposes that it worked. So, and another thing you don't realize is I always had the pack on the entire shoot, every scene, but we just had to, a lot of the budget went to CGI removing the pack from the scene. So, and that was just a way for me to not just get into character, but stay in character.
Sure.
I forgot about that. What, can you talk a little bit about how the owl worked? Because that was a bit unusual.
Yeah, the owl was animatronic, and I don't know, this is your department, but I would say ate a large part of the budget. So the animal came from the Shanghai Disney. I've never been there, but
we couldn't afford that. Did you not know that? We ended up actually having to use, remember Clash of the Titans?
Yeah.
The little owl, the owl friend, I forget what his name is, but he had gone into retirement. So we ended up like doing a SAG waiver and bringing that owl in.
Now I'm kind of stuck trying to figure the name.
More sense to me. That makes more sense now that I know that. And I don't think I knew that just because of the behavior issues we had with the owl on set. It was a very entitled, I'll say, to put it diplomatically.
It was. It's kind of known as like the Ellen Barkin of owls.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, in this day and age, to be inclusive, if you need someone to play an owl, you have to hire an owl. I mean, that's the only option you really have.
If you want to be nominated for an Oscar, yes, in the Best Picture category.
That seems kind of racist to say, or owlist.
It is owlist. Yeah.
I mean, we didn't just put the owl in the movie to check a box, man. I mean,
fair point.
I mean, there are the new Academy rules are pretty specific, but they don't get into that.
Yeah, fair point. And this is also made before the new rules came out, so.
That's true. Sorry.
Derek?
Did he hang up?
Derek?
Uh-oh.
Derek?
Sorry. My camera apparently overheated because I didn't have the fan on, and I am not trying to figure out if this is going to turn on or not. Sorry. It froze for a second.
How many butterflies you have in there? They're going to
I know. I think maybe did I overdo the butterfly? My butterfly. No, I think I did there. Here, let's try this.
I really like it. I think it's I feel kind of.
No, I like your stuff.
Like the butterflies are all fleeing some.
Well, I think they're fleeing into nature. That's the goal, right? They're going into nature, and that's really that's what counts, I think, more than anything else. Actually, you know what? Let's just start right now. If this camera goes out, I have a backup, of course. So, I will ask, David, you were in your underwear, running through nature many a time. Did this help you get more aligned with nature? Did you feel closer to it as you were running through it?
I mean, I felt closer to my underwear. It brought me closer to my underwear, and I'm not prone to having deep relationships with inanimate objects, but I definitely, and part of it was the how isolated and physically hard the shoot was, and that affected things mentally. But the underwear and I got to be very close. As I said, it always had turkey bacon, which I discovered it liked. So, I would do something for the underwear would do something for me, and it was a very symbiotic relationship, and it worked out. And I think you see the result on the screen. I think it comes across.
I think so as well.
One of the ways we financed the film was through they don't call it product placement anymore. It's product integration. And the Fruit of the Loom company was a major financier, and it was a little bit unique, right? Because we had to show the underwear. We had a certain amount of screen time, 8.5 minutes, that we had to have it on there. Mm-hmm. And so we had to keep like coming up with scenes. We had a pretty dramatic scene with David where he and the bear finally like they meet, if you saw The Revenant, but we had to cut it because we needed more underwear. So instead we had to shoot this whole scene of David in his underwear. I think it works though.
Yeah, I mean, but that's also about where we chose to spend our money, which might not have been the wisest thing.
A lot of weed too.
The thing off the back, we could have used that money for CGIing underwear on. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah. So was there a butterfly wrangler? Like, how did that work? Did you just get lucky when you saw butterflies and you ran towards it? How did that work with? It
was so lucky because well over half of our lunches, and we had a great and amazing catering crew on set from the Four Seasons in Portland, and roughly half their meals, regardless of whether it was breakfast, lunch, dinner, second meal, whatever it was, were consisted of butterflies. So there were tons of butterflies around, and they're either flash frozen or they're alive when they're making them. So we just would go, hey, can we grab another gypsy moth? Can we grab another Tennessee lightning moth? Can we grab another Capranius margolis moth? All those kind of things, and not moths but butterflies as well. And they would have them on the ready. They have a whole truck of them. So we'd run in and use them.
Can I ask both of you about working with Deborah Messing and her character in this? Because usually we of course find her jubilant with bright shiny hair, but unfortunately this character has her dealing with some rough instances. So anything from working with her?
I mean,
she the phrase phoning it in. She literally phoned it in. That is a body double. That is they used the deep fake technology for her face. And then all her stuff was done from the phone because she was in, I want to say San Moritz or something like that, skiing.
Well, I think she phoned it in well then, because she delivered.
No, she did a great job. She's amazing. She's amazing. Particularly given the, how we did it. But yeah, she's great. Yeah. You would not know from looking at it.
Right.
I never met her, so I'll defer to David on this.
I got you. Well, she seems to be a delight, is what I'm going to go with through my second, third, fourth hand knowledge. When this story first came out and you decided you were going to make this film, David, before there was a visuals or anything along those lines, if a friend asked you, how'd you explain what the Dark Divide was?
They'd ask me that question, and then I'd do this with my finger, and then I'd put it up to their lips, and I'd go like that, and I'd go, shh.
No, that's it. Just the mystery therein.
Yeah.
I understand. Well, I am very excited for people to see this, because there's a lot of honest moments in there, and I will say that you both delivered something very special. There was a character who had many levels to him, but also someone who, I guess, grew in the correct time. I mean, is that something you kind of felt
that was all honestly a happy accident?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you follow the book, how it all worked out because of what the original writings were, of how much time he was out there and how much, there was those things that, for growth too. So I hope you felt that that was the best way for the adventure to end and also to progress with that kind of growth. So.
Well, can I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
I mean, there's so many just wonderful life-changing moments in the film, what was your favorite?
Um, I think it was
three.
well. One of the ones that I really loved was as he kind of gets a little stronger and understands. Like there's a moment where his pack almost falls and he kind of grabs it. Like I feel like that was something that really kind of resonated with him. Kind of getting a little control.
There's 7 throughout the film. Is there one that is your favorite of those grabs?
Well, no, there was one that was really important to me where he was kind of looking out over a vista. Also, him taking control against some of the people who were working in the forest, like that kind of thing, where he was trying to make the connection between those two. And then also, I think really the breakdown in the cave was amazing too. So there's a lot of things I don't want to give away too much, but those things I felt were like, because what I love is sometimes you get to a moment where you feel like, what would I do in that situation? And I kind of feel like I'd almost do the same exact thing. Like I'd break out and just be like trying to figure out where I am in the world, what's going to happen, and how I can get away with, surviving another day or another hour even. So that was something that was very interesting to me, and it got me a little introspective for sure. So
that's cool. I like when he slips in the poop.
Yeah, no, that's good too. And I definitely had to think, what does bear poop smell like? And I hope you use real bear poop. I hope you guys didn't scrimp on anything in that regard.
That was me. That was mine.
We had a lot of craft services problems, so it was very
mine. So that's yeah.
So I have to ask too. Of course, you know the story. You're reading all through it. Of course, butterflies and love, and trying to cope with all these things. And then
that was the original title, was Butterflies in Love.
Butterflies in Love.
Title, actually. I like that.
But I have to say, there's something where this gentleman comes into play here. So, what was your thoughts when you first saw this gentleman come into play? So we have a little big feet situation here, where big feet
this seems a little silly to me.
As I think it is a little silly at times, but tell me about understanding and running towards the Bigfoot in the sense of the film.
What?
Well, I mean,
say it again.
Well, Bigfoot, of course, being part of his story too, but having that be part of this story too, his adventure, his understanding. What was your thoughts about the fact that have a man coping with all these emotional things, and then Bigfoot comes into play?
Adventure and understanding. Or are we talking about David's character?
David's character, how he kind of, or both of you reading, understanding the story that he delivered, and then having this in there. Did I fall asleep and go into a dream in the middle of this movie? I'm pretty positive there was something along this line here. I hope I do.
You're dreaming now.
Okay,
Derek,
I'm putting two movies together.
Look at your virtual background and tell me you're not in a dream.
I am in a dream, and this is a haze. But I thank both of you for being part of it. I guess if you're here,
sure.
I guess.
Do you mind if I have some of this cheese?
You can have some of that cheese.
I would just want to make sure audiences understand. I spent 10 years making this film because we wanted to share the healing power of nature and the importance of nature in our lives, right? Because I think Louis down. Sorry. That it's just.
Do you really have a dog? I have to ask that now. After this interview, I have to ask, do you really have a dog?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Just making sure.
I mean, he just left.
I'm questioning a lot of things right now, but yes. Okay. All right.
The power of nature.
I believe it as well. So, sorry. That guy came out again. My bad. I'll get rid of him. He kind of just pops out. It's very silly. And
how does that tie in when you do other interviews? Is that confusing?
No, actually, it's part of my sponsorship. So I have to kind of let him run across the screen ever so often.
Hair Club for Men? What is your sponsorship?
Yes.
Like a pomade?
Yes. It's actually an anti-glare for the top of hair because I'm losing mine. So it gets rid of the glare.
Ready? Let's see. Got to show it.
You want to see?
Yeah, we want to see.
See?
looks good. Well, you don't need the hat, man.
I don't know. You know what though? David can attest to this. If you're on red carpets, that light can catch you sometimes, and I try not to. I try not to blind others with me or take their attention off. I like them looking at the microphone as opposed to looking directly at the top of my head, I guess. I don't know if that's right.
I mean, it's a nice hat.
Thank you. I enjoy it as well. I bought it. So, gentlemen, I want to say this has been an interesting interview, and I look forward to talking with people about the Dark Divide. I have more interest in butterflies as well as other creatures in the forest, and more importantly, I found it to be kind of a cathartic film and understanding and trying to think about the last time I went to nature and try to connect or try to, release all this four walls and city into that, and hopefully it would take it. So,
have you seen Unhinged?
Yes. I don't know if this is going.
It's a movie that I think we're kind of sister films, so I just wondered.
With Russell Crowe. So this is a sister film to Russell Crowe's film?
Mm-hmm. Same key group.
Okay. Well, I think you might want to talk to marketing and look at demographics once again. I don't know necessarily if they're going to link up with Unhinged as much as you think it does. I think it's its own special thing, and I hope everyone gets a chance to enjoy it. So
yeah, Unhinged is great. Thank you.
Sure. Let's just talk about Unhinged. That's great. Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I've seen the trailer. I mean, he gets so mad.
Then you've seen the movie.
Could you imagine being in a drive-in and then watching this angry guy in his car while you're in your car? It's like so meta, right?
It is very meta, and you spend a lot of time and then actually the anger goes to you afterwards because you're thinking, man, I spend money to be out here. I'm risking my life to be out here for Unhinged. So that's a question.
So dedicated to his craft, like he just does not get out of that car. He's just in there from what I saw in the trailer, and he seems unhinged.
He does seem unhinged. You know what? I don't want to.
Definitely not hinged.
No.
No.
Is that a word? Yeah, you could be hinged, I guess.
You can be hinged. I don't want to talk about Russell Crowe anymore because your actor is right here, and I feel like we're taking away the spotlight.
Okay.
It's all right. I'm gonna have to jump off to do this next thing.
Yeah.
Derek,
I'm open though. I'm here.
Yeah.
So
Derek, thank you. This has been the best episode of the Jerry Todd Show I think I've ever seen. It's one of my favorites.
Sure.
And can you give me Bigfoot one more time?
I can indeed. Here he comes. Say hello to him.
Fantastic. Good stuff.
Good.
Good stuff. All right, I'll see you guys, okay?
Actually, we'll end this now. They're already telling me I got to end this, so I'm going to end this now. So I want to thank both of you right now and just say have a fantastic day.